Leo soul, radiant and bold, what if I told you that just one moment of listening could shift the flow of money into your life this week? You didn't stumble into this space by accident. You were summoned. This message found you because you were ready, maybe not logically, maybe not visibly, but something inside you whispered yes. Yes to more. Yes to alignment. Yes to finally receiving what's always been yours. From the very first breath of this video, your energy is being invited into something ancient yet new. A transmission. A spiritual reset. A map to the wealth that already exists within your field, waiting for your permission to arrive. The purpose of this video is simple: to awaken the financial abundance that's been circling you, waiting for this exact moment. You are not here to chase wealth. You are here to become the magnet it recognizes. Take a deep breath, Leo. Let that truth settle in. You don't need to fight for visibility. You are visibility. You don't need to prove your worth. You are the proof. This week, divine timing and cosmic energy are converging on your path. Venus, the planet of value, prosperity, and sacred self-worth, is lighting up your personal space of empowerment. You are being illuminated, not just spiritually, but materially. And if you've been seeing repeating numbers like 888, 111, or 666 lately, that's not a coincidence. That's alignment whispering, the door is open. You'll notice this message doesn't just speak to you. It speaks through you. Every sentence, every pause, every shift in tone is calibrated to rewire your energetic frequency. Because the truth is, you've never needed to earn abundance. You've only needed to remember that it was already yours. In this video, we won't just discuss your financial stars. We will align them. We'll walk through simple but sacred practices, breathwork, energetic affirmations, daily rituals, all designed to return you to your center. To that place where attraction isn't effort, it's natural law. And let me take a moment to offer something that often goes unsaid: sincere, heartfelt gratitude for your presence here. Every comment you write, every like, every moment you spend listening, helps anchor this message more deeply into the collective. Your energy matters. Your presence is not passive, it activates this space. If you're already feeling a shift within, that tingling, pulsing sense of something is coming, then please, write it. Confirm it. Declare it. I invite you to type into the comments: I am ready to receive abundance. Let this be your first act of claiming what's yours. Stay with me until the end, Leo. What the universe is preparing to show you is more than a message. It's an invitation, and possibly a turning point you've waited lifetimes to meet. So, what quiet force brought you here today? Let's begin. When Venus begins her journey through this sacred corner of your birth chart, the realm that governs your self-worth, confidence, and inner resources, something far greater than a simple financial shift is being set into motion. This isn't just about money. It's about remembering the quiet dignity of knowing you are enough. Venus, as the archetype of value and harmony, doesn't teach through pressure or performance. She teaches through invitation. She reminds you that wealth isn't something you chase, it's something you allow. There's a subtle yet undeniable shift occurring now, like the soil warming before the seed even knows it's time to grow. This week, The energy surrounding Leo hums with the vibration of recognition not by others, but from within. And in that recognition, the things you've planted in silence, through effort unacknowledged and choices made from integrity, are beginning to break the surface. The rewards aren't transactional. They're spiritual in nature, arriving not just because of what you did, but because of how you did it with care, with patience, and without needing the world to witness it. This is why the Empress appears now, not as a queen demanding results, but as a mother force reminding you that what is nurtured with love can never be lost. She represents a kind of abundance that expands slowly, organically, just like breath, just like compassion, just like the unfolding of truth. There is richness in her stillness, just as there is wealth in your presence when it's rooted in self-respect. Alongside her stands the Ace of Pentacles, that rare and potent sign of something new breaking ground. A tangible opportunity, a physical return, or a material reward, yes, but also something deeper, proof that you are safe to receive. You are not being asked to hustle right now. You are being asked to align. There's a big difference. One exhausts, the other restores. When we move from hustle, we strive against life, believing that effort alone will determine our worth. But when we move from alignment, we flow with life, trusting that our energy, our very being, is already enough to invite every good thing in its right time. This week, that's what's coming toward you, not because you've fought harder, but because you've learned how to soften into your truth. Much like a lotus that blooms not by force but by trusting the still waters around it, your season of growth is not something to manufacture. It's something to welcome. And you do that by showing up not louder, not busier, just more honestly. The parts of you that once believed you had to do more to receive love or stability are dissolving now, and in their place, something stronger is emerging, the knowing that your presence, grounded and open, is the portal to every form of abundance. Even in the silence, even when no one applauded, you stayed true. And that is why this moment feels both miraculous and inevitable. Because it is. You're not attracting wealth by chance. You're magnetizing it by becoming who you truly are. Let yourself take that in. This isn't a transaction. It's a return. A blooming. A sacred echo of everything you've already given, now circling back with interest. So if you feel something stirring, let it stir. If your chest expands when you hear these words, trust that. Life is not asking you to prove yourself again. It's inviting you to be yourself clearly, calmly, and without hesitation. And in doing so, you unlock the very door that was always meant to open, just like this moment. There's a quiet yet powerful truth woven into the fabric of this moment, Leo, and it begins with this: wealth does not arrive as a trophy for the most exhausted, nor is it a reward for those who've struggled the longest. True abundance is not transactional. It's vibrational. And the way you feel, the frequency you radiate, becomes the silent architecture that shapes what finds its way into your life. When you start to love yourself without condition, when you trust your inner knowing even before the outer world gives you a reason to, and when you choose gratitude not as a reaction, but as a practice, you shift the current of your reality. In that shift, you stop chasing. You begin attracting. What many mistake as luck is simply the echo of alignment. It's the reflection of inner clarity projected outward into form. You may have already begun noticing certain repeating numbers: 888, 111, or even 666, not as coincidences, but as subtle markers of energetic preparation. The number 888 carries the vibration of infinite flow and financial increase. It's the numerical pulse of receiving, of circulation, of the divine rhythm of give and take without scarcity. When it appears around you, it's not simply a sign, it's an invitation to receive fully without guilt. It asks you to remember that money, too, is a current. And like breath, it must be allowed both in and out. Then there's 111, the frequency of beginnings. It's the quiet voice at the edge of your awareness whispering that your next chapter is already here. That a doorway has opened not because you forced it, but because your readiness became magnetic. This number appears most often when your thoughts are aligning with your future faster than you realize, when what you visualize is on the verge of crystallizing. And then, the misunderstood yet sacred number 666. Often feared, yet deeply restorative. This number appears when your relationship with material stability is being rewritten. It shows up when it's time to release guilt around receiving. It signals that emotional healing is occurring at the root where safety, self-worth, and value were once questioned. When 666 follows you, it's a sign that you're being supported in rewriting how you relate to money, not from fear, but from wholeness. Understanding these numbers is like learning to read the subtle waves in your own mind. When your heart begins to move in gratitude before any evidence appears, when your choices are no longer bound by fear or proving that is the law of attraction at its clearest. It isn't a magical formula. It's the art of recognizing that how you feel is the soil in which your future is already taking root. In the same way a drop of water reflects the whole sky when still, your internal state mirrors the nature of what comes toward you. A peaceful, open, trusting heart becomes a beacon. And what is meant for you, whether it's financial flow, new opportunities, or emotional stability, doesn't need a map to find you. It will be drawn like the tide to the moon. What you're experiencing now, Leo, is not random. It is the direct consequence of energy you've been carrying quietly, even when no one saw it. The law of attraction isn't punishing or rewarding. It's simply honest. And this week, it's aligning in your favor because your vibration has already changed. This isn't a moment to hustle. It's a moment to honor how far you've come without demanding more from yourself. Stand still for a breath. Let the current come to you. You've already opened the gate. The shift doesn't begin with effort. It begins with attention. When you allow yourself to truly listen, not with your ears, but with your inner presence, something remarkable happens. Your energy starts to move. It's subtle at first, like the way a river realigns itself after a single stone is lifted from its flow. But that single shift in energy is all it takes to redirect what's coming toward you. This is why the act of simply listening fully, consciously, can be more transformative than any outer action. Not because of what's being said, but because of how you receive it. This part of the journey invites you to enter into more than just understanding. It invites you into experience. When you speak the words, "I am ready to receive abundance," you are not just saying something hopeful, you are tuning the frequency of your nervous system, your breath, your field of awareness. Every repetition reinforces a subtle repatterning, from scarcity to sufficiency, from longing to receiving, from resistance to readiness. Breath work, especially in its simplest forms, is an ancient path to rebalancing what's hidden inside us. The 3-1-3 breathing rhythm may seem small, but it carries the intelligence of presence. Inhale gently for 3 counts, feeling space enter. Hold that stillness for 1 count, a moment of trust. Then release for 3, letting go of the tightness around what hasn't arrived yet. That single pattern repeated over time becomes a way to cleanse the static that anxiety builds around money, security, and self-worth. In doing so, your body begins to believe what your mind hasn't yet caught up to, that it's safe now. You're allowed to receive. There is also something deeply grounding, even purifying, in the quiet ritual of drinking warm lemon water in the morning. It's not about the drink itself, but the intention you pour into it. As the warm water touches your lips, it carries a message into your being. I am clearing space. I am inviting light. I am choosing to begin again. That kind of still action, when repeated daily, becomes less about health and more about alignment, the gentle discipline of honoring your life force before the noise of the world arrives. Likewise, mindful walking, even for 10 minutes, restores your center. There's wisdom in each step when your mind stops racing toward outcomes. You're not walking to get anywhere. You're walking to return to your breath, to your rhythm, to your quiet readiness. Each step becomes a phrase. Each pause, a sentence. It's the language of a body learning to trust life again. These practices may appear ordinary, but within them lies something sacred, the transition from passive waiting to intentional receiving. When you say, I am ready, and follow that with breath, movement, and gentle ritual, you're telling the universe something very clear, not just with words, but with being. You are not chasing abundance. You are becoming the space in which abundance lands. In many teachings, it is said that everything arises from causes and conditions. A seed does not bloom because we demand it. It blooms because the soil is soft, the light is present, the water is near. These rituals, these breaths and sips and steps are your way of tending to the soil. So don't underestimate them. They are not chores. They are your way of saying yes. Yes to your own unfolding. Yes to the wealth that has always waited for you to pause long enough to feel it arrive. Love and abundance are not separate threads pulling you in different directions, they are often woven from the same golden fiber. When your energy is steady and open, when your intentions arise not from lack but from truth, both love and prosperity naturally begin to find their way into your life. Leo, you are someone who doesn't hold back when you care. You love with a full heart, a radiant spirit, and a kind of fire that demands honesty from those who come close. And in this season, that energy becomes magnetic. The radiance you're stepping into isn't about being louder, it's about being clearer. You're no longer dimming your truth to fit into someone else's comfort zone, nor are you chasing love in places where your presence isn't cherished. What's happening now is a quiet, powerful shift. The light within you has grown too bright to be missed. Whether you're single or in a partnership, that light is calling in connection, not the fleeting kind, but the kind that sees you, reflects you, and grows with you. If you're walking this path solo right now, you're not waiting, you're aligning. This is the difference that changes everything. You're not placing your joy in someone else's arrival. You're becoming the kind of person whose joy is so full that it naturally attracts someone who resonates with it. This isn't about playing a role to be chosen. It's about being so anchored in your authenticity that what's meant for you can't help but draw near. And it will. Because real love, the kind that honors who you are, always recognizes itself in return. If you're already sharing your life with someone, this is a moment of co-creation. Not the routine kind, not merely surviving together but truly building something with intention, vision, and emotional generosity. It's the time to revisit the foundation. What values do you share? What kind of abundance are you creating, not just financially, but emotionally, spiritually, even energetically? Love becomes deeper when both people show up as they are, without the need to fix or be fixed. And from that mutual presence, a different kind of wealth is born, the kind that feels safe, expansive, and deeply rooted in trust. So many people are taught to believe that you must choose, either stability or passion, either love or freedom, either abundance or rest. But these are false binaries. In truth, the more open your heart becomes, the more receptive you are to the gifts that life has been holding for you all along. When you trust that you are enough in love and in purpose, your field becomes fertile for both intimacy and prosperity. They are not competitors. They are companions. In ancient teachings, it is said that when the heart is undisturbed, when desire is no longer entangled with fear, we begin to experience what is already present but unseen. The same principle applies here. When your love no longer needs to prove itself and your worth is no longer questioned, both emotional and material abundance begin to rise together. Not because you forced them to, but because you made room for them to arrive. This part of your journey isn't about deciding whether to focus on love or money. It's about realizing that both are expressions of the same deep readiness. The readiness to receive. The readiness to give without losing yourself. The readiness to let your life be a reflection of what's real, not what's expected. So breathe. Trust the connections forming around you. Allow them to grow slowly, with care. Because the right ones will not rush, and the wrong ones will not stay. And through it all, Leo, your light remains unwavering, unmistakable, and fully ready for more. There comes a moment in every soul's journey when the waiting must end, not because the world has changed, but because you have. Not because the right person finally gave you permission, but because you remembered you never needed it. Leo, this part of your path isn't about seeking validation anymore. It's about reclaiming authorship over your own life. The kind of authorship that doesn't ask, "Am I allowed to receive more?" but instead calmly declares, "I am ready now." You're not asking to be chosen. You are choosing yourself fully, deliberately, and without apology. When we stop performing for acceptance and begin to live from inner clarity, something ancient inside of us begins to awaken. That quiet yet unwavering center, the one that knows you were born with worth and never had to earn it, begins to lead. And when you lead from that place, life doesn't resist you, it responds. Just like a lotus flower doesn't bloom because it asks to be seen, but because it trusts the soil beneath it, you begin to rise from a grounded truth, that your abundance, your joy, and your fulfillment are not something distant, but something deeply woven into your being. In the deeper teachings of mind and awareness, it's understood that clinging is suffering, especially when we cling to an idea of ourselves built on other people's approval. But when we release the need to be seen a certain way, when we loosen our grip on outcomes or timing, we make space for clarity. The clarity that says, "I'm not waiting for a sign, I am the sign. I'm not waiting for permission, I am the permission." That is what it means to walk through the gate of self-recognition, not with ego, but with peaceful power. So when you write the words, "I choose myself," don't let them be just a caption or affirmation. Let them be a signal. A gentle but powerful declaration that your alignment no longer depends on external green lights. The financial energy around you now, as reflected by the angel numbers appearing in your field 888, 111, and 666, is a reminder that something is already forming, already moving. These aren't random digits, they are patterns of consciousness, messages in motion. 888 brings the return of value, the cycle of receiving finally completing. 111 marks the beginning of a new mental pathway, an energetic opening. And 666, so often misunderstood, speaks not of warning, but of healing, the deep healing of how you relate to your own worth. Color, too, is a quiet form of alignment. Golden hues activate the solar plexus, the center of confidence and willpower. They reflect your core energy as a Leo, warming and expansive. Deep ruby red strengthens the heart's boundaries and reminds you that desire is not a weakness, it's a compass. And emerald green calls the emotional body into balance, letting you receive love with openness rather than defense. These aren't aesthetic suggestions. They are tools for tuning your frequency gently, subtly, with presence. You are not at the edge of your power. You are at the return to it. Everything you've longed for begins to unfold when you stop trying to be what others expect, and instead become more of what you already are. This week isn't about pushing harder or earning more approval. It's about quietly aligning with the version of you who already lives in abundance. Who already walks like someone who belongs. Who knows that real power doesn't arrive through struggle, it emerges through stillness, then moves with purpose. You've already done the work. Now, trust yourself enough to step forward, not with questions, but with certainty. The universe doesn't need you to perform. It only needs you to be present. And that presence, that grounded, radiant self-trust, is exactly what will open the next door. As we gently arrive at the closing of today's journey, I want to remind you of something quietly powerful. You are not waiting for your life to begin. It already has. And everything you've been longing for, abundance, peace, love, stability, isn't somewhere far away. It's already circling you. It's already whispering your name. The only question is, will you pause long enough to receive it? Throughout this video, we've explored more than predictions. We've walked together through a sacred realignment, one where your truth is no longer something to chase, but something to stand in. You've seen how energy, not effort, is what reshapes reality. You've been invited to breathe differently, speak differently, walk differently, not for performance, but for peace. The rituals you've been given may seem simple, but they are potent keys. When used with awareness, they don't just attract outcomes, they restore your connection to who you were before the world told you to be smaller. So now I ask you gently, but with full sincerity, what would your life look like if you stopped negotiating your worth? What choices would you make if you no longer needed proof before taking the first step? And what could shift in your world this week if you allowed yourself to live from the belief that you are already chosen, already supported, already aligned with more than enough? This is your invitation to move forward, not with urgency, but with clarity. You don't need to force anything into place. You simply need to become the place where good things can land. Start with your words. Let them affirm what's already forming. Write it in the comments, I am ready to receive abundance. Let it be a signal not just to the universe, but to yourself that you are done dimming your light. You are done waiting for permission. You are not here by accident. The timing of this message, the resonance in your body, the thoughts that stirred as you listened, all of it is part of the unfolding. And if this message moved something in you, even quietly, please consider sharing it with someone else who might need this kind of reminder. Maybe another Leo who has forgotten just how powerful their presence truly is. One video, one message, can be a spark in someone else's darkness. And if you haven't already, please take a moment to subscribe to Eternal Mindfulness. Every time you do, every like, every comment, every interaction, you are helping us build a space where healing, truth, and transformation are no longer rare. They become the rhythm. The more we grow, the more we reach those who are still searching for the voice that says, "You're not broken. You're becoming." Thank you for showing up today, not just for this video, but for yourself. Thank you for being open to the possibility that your path forward is no longer paved with fear, but with deep, intuitive trust. Thank you for listening with your whole heart. You don't need a miracle. You are the miracle. And the moment you live like it, everything changes.